I'm Nicolette Amarillas. I'm a strength coach and a posture and movement specialist. Today I'm going over the seated good morning with a rope. This is one of my favorite hinge movements. I feel like I say it all the time because I probably do, but it is. And I like it because it's a very supported movement, which is what I love most about it. So a seated good morning is a hinge variation, but it's a great exercise if you're just starting out on hinging movements. Don't know what a hinge movement is? Great, I'll tell you. It's basically when we're going into hip flexion and hip extension. So say a deadlift or an RDL, which is a straight leg deadlift. So this is a more supported version and a great way to get comfortable with that hinge movement without loading the posterior chain or the backside of the body too much. So if you're someone who's a little bit worried about loading their spine, but you still want to get in those hinge movements, this is for you. So you'll need a rope. You'll need a cable machine or a handy dandy tonal if you have one, as well as a bench or something sturdy to sit on. So take your bench and you'll want to make sure to bring it quite far away from the end of the anchor point or wherever you're pulling from. This is because you are going to be reaching forward not only with your torso, but also with your arms. So I have mine pretty far back, a couple feet. And then from here, I'm gonna make sure that my hips are nice and stable on the surface. Now there's a couple variations to where your feet can be. You can be a little narrow with your toes slightly turned out and your knees just behind your ankles. I like to use this one less just because I feel less stable. If you want to feel more stable, you can bring your feet out wider and then extend your knees a little bit more with your toes slightly turned out. You might feel more stable. But if you have a lack of mobility in your adductors or the center of the thighs, this one might be harder. Choose whichever one you want. If you're a client of mine and you're watching this, choose whichever one I've specified. Okay, so my weight is already on. I'm gonna grab the rope and I'm gonna come up to a seated position first to start the movement. From here, I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades and lift and open your chest, and then press your feet into the floor. You're using the feet as anchors so that you can feel more stable in the movement. Now, the movement starts by hinging or bending at the hips, keeping the spine straight the whole time. So what we're looking for is to not come into flexion, right? We're not bending forward, but instead moving through the hips. Now notice my head stays in line with my spine the whole time, keeping my chin tucked at the bottom and then looking forward at the top. Start by reaching your hips back and up, almost like you're trying to twerk your hips up. I want you to actively push through the feet, reach the hips up, stretch the back of the thighs, and then bring the arms forward so you're in this fully stretched position, big stretch through the back of the legs. And then at the bottom, squeeze the glutes, push the heels into the floor, and pull yourself up. Now I have a lot of range of motion through my hips and hamstrings, so I'm able to come down pretty far without going into flexion. That will be different for all of you. So maybe this is your end range. This, or this. Doesn't matter how far you go. What matters is that you go as far as you can without the back coming into a forward rounded position. Even with the 20 pounds, which is pretty light for me, I can definitely feel the work in the back of the thighs and the glutes. Make sure to work through the stretch, so feel the stretch, and then bring yourself up. And always remember to have a constant squeeze in the shoulder blades. You want the whole backside of the body to be working the whole time. So there are a couple of variations to this movement, like I said before. In the notes of this video, I'll link the progressions of the good morning, but I would start here if you've never done it before. I hope you enjoy. Let me know how it goes, and I'll see you soon.